7-month wait. 7 months. Was it worth it? You'll find out here. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? What's going on? It is Autobot Mike 18 here, back with another review. This is going to be a TV episode review, guys. Not my, standard. I almost said movie review, to be honest with you, guys. I'm gonna cut to the problem. I don't sound right. If any of you couldn't tell, I might have a cold. My throat is really sore. I feel meh. If I cough like that throughout this video, or if I do that, I apologize. I might be getting a cold. Not the greatest timing because I'm really busy with a lot of things going on, but what are you gonna do? Nevertheless, guys, I had to make a video about this because everybody's been making videos about it. So naturally, I'm gonna make a video about it and talk about it because why not? It's what I do. Guys, in this video, I am going to be reviewing and discussing The Walking Dead, the Season 7 premiere. I'm going to do an entire in-depth spoiler analysis. I don't want to make this video crazy long, so I'm going to try to keep it short. Or by short, I mean like 25 minutes-ish. Hopefully shorter, but hopefully not more than that. I do want to cover a lot of things, though, so just beware of that. And, of course, beware spoilers. You couldn't already tell. So yeah, obviously, as many of you know, the Season 7 premiere aired last night for The Walking Dead. I was going to shoot a review after it aired, but I had a lot of homework to do, so it's the next day later. It's about 24 hours since the episode aired, and I'm here in my car in my parking lot of my campus talking about The Walking Dead. Why not? So guys, the title of this episode was, I'm forgetting it, but I know it was quoted from Season 1. It was taken right from The Day Will Come When You Won't. I think that's the title of it. I loved that, by the way. It was a Dr. Jenner quote. And guys, I also want to preface this review by saying, in case any of you didn't know already, but I've reviewed Walking Dead episodes in the past. Like, usually I started reviewing them around Season 4, and I reviewed every episode in Season 4 and 5, and then I reviewed the whole first half of Season 6, and then the second half of Season 6, I only reviewed the premiere, the mid-season premiere, and the finale, because I didn't have time for anything else. I'm probably going to do it again that way. For this season, I'm obviously reviewing the premiere now. I'll review the mid-season finale in December, and then I will review the mid-season premiere in February and the season finale in April or whatever. I'd love to review every episode, but I just don't think I'll have the time. So I'm going to try to do just mid-season premiere and, all the premieres and finales. If I, get more time, then I'll review other episodes. But for right now, I'm going to keep it just as that. So anyway, guys, Season 7, how do I get into this? As many of you guys know, if you've seen my review for the mid-season, for the Season 6 finale, and if you've seen my reaction to the Season 7 trailer, a lot of you guys will know that the Season 6 finale really upset me, and I feel it kind of ruined the whole season. And I know I'm very on my own in that opinion. A lot of you felt differently. A lot of you completely disagree with me and feel that the cliffhanger was justified and that it worked. And that's all well and good. That's your opinion. My personal opinion, I did not care for how they handled everything with the Season 6 finale. And because, the events of the Season 6 finale tie into the events of this episode, I have to talk about the finale in some way, especially in a critical way. So I will talk about... So I just want to preface you guys. You guys are going to get mad at me again for bringing up the finale once again. Guys, I have to, okay? I have to at this point. It ties directly into this premiere episode and a major problem I had with it. That said, despite the fact that I just revealed I had a major problem with this premiere, I can't deny that it's everything and more that I wanted originally, essentially, from the finale. That's right. I finally got questions to things I've been asking myself for months, and it felt like there was actually a legitimate payoff. However, unfortunately, season later. Anyway, but there was a lot that I was riding on with this finale, with this premiere, guys. I wanted to see the beatings. I wanted more of Negan, and I wanted him to come off as even more of a boss and just a complete sociopath, which he does. Holy crap. I wanted all of that. I wanted answers, and I got them. And more importantly, what I really wanted to see from this premiere, because I'm looking at it as a premiere, not the finale, obviously, because it's a premiere. I want them to set up a new conflict, something that they failed to do at the end of the finale, in my opinion, because there wasn't that payoff and that reveal, and like how I said, I wanted to see someone get killed, and it just, like, how it affected Rick and everything, and I wanted to end it like that, on that cliffhanger. But because it didn't, because there was no payoff to that, I wanted a payoff for the finale, which I kind of got, but I also wanted to establish Negan and set this season up for what we are in store for, and I think the premiere excellently did that, and I was really, really impressed with that. So there's a number of things I'm going to talk about. First things first, let's get to the burning topic at hand. Who did Negan kill? Everybody wanted to know that. Now, I'm going to go out of order. I'm not going to talk about the whole synopsis of the show or anything like that, like breakdown scene by scene. I'm literally just going to talk from a general sense of what happened to the main characters, what was generally going on. Okay, so, essentially, in terms of Negan, in terms of just to basically quickly sum this up, we're focusing on Rick and Negan in this season premiere, and Negan essentially showing Rick, like, listen, dude, you defied me because of the way they chose to open this episode with Rick's line, I'm gonna kill you. After Negan had just killed 2 people, Rick tells him that, and Negan's like, nope, he didn't learn his lesson. I gotta make him learn. That's what this whole episode is about, and I love how it follows that narrative structure of Negan bringing Rick in the middle of nowhere in the RV, making him try to get the axe, and everything, or making him fight through a pile of walkers, or doing the unspeakable in the latter half of this episode, which, spoiler, making Rick have to cut off Carl's arm, even though he doesn't end up going through with that. I thought that was brilliantly executed, and it really honed in on Negan's point of, look, I need you to realize, your whole group realizes that I am not to be effed with, okay? You need to realize that, Rick. It's you. You're the problem. And I loved how they touched upon that in this episode. I thought that was really flawlessly done for the overall synopsis. Now, to reveal who gets killed, they cut from flashbacks of Rick on the roof, because this has already happened. It's the early dawn, early morning after, Negan's killed his victims. Rick is, like, on top of the RV, and we cut to close-ups of him and how he replays the events of Negan beating his victims in his mind. So we're seeing them from the past. And it's finally revealed that the first victim, I love how they showed the whole countdown. Negan did the whole thing again, but it was shot from Rick's POV, which I thought was beautifully shot. What do you call it? And then the camera pans, it's on Negan, it cuts to all of them again, it's on Negan, the tension is, like, real at this point. Camera's on Negan, it swiftly quick pans over to Abraham, who's just standing up tall, and then Negan says it, and then we all know it's Abraham. And I gotta say, I want to leave comments on how I felt about who was picked as the victims, and why I feel that don't get me wrong, I loved the characters, of course. The execution in regards to the premiere and the finale is what may have ruined things for me. And the fact that we had to wait that long a time, I'm going to get into that though. Okay, so don't kill me. Watch this whole video. Thank you. So he picks Abe, and oh my goodness, I was so relieved, not only for just the first victim, but for both of Negan's victims. They showed it. I really feared that they would just cut to body smashed on the floor, maybe one shot of of Lucille hitting the victim, and then cut to immediately, like, body on floor, brains all over the place, and that was it. They actually showed it. I get that they had a lot of shots of just Negan hitting something, and we couldn't really see what it was in a few shots, but you get the idea with the sound effects and everything. But I love for how the first time Negan hits Abraham, we actually see him hit him. They didn't cut away or anything stupid like that. So thank you, AMC, for showing the violence. And I know some people have already been out there claiming that it was ridiculous, that they went too into it, that there was way too much violence, they shouldn't have showed everything they showed. I totally disagree with what I feel, that they had just the right amount of violence. I feel they needed that much to convey what Negan is and how much of a threat he is to this group, and that he means boss. Or that he means business, okay? So I don't want to hear anybody complaining about how much violence there was, because I totally disagree with you. Because that was the first victim. All right, now I'm going to get into my thoughts on that and how I felt about knowing that it was Abraham and why it didn't affect me emotionally, even though I thought it was an awesome moment. I'll get into that. So then Negan kills Abraham, and he taunts the group with his mushed brains on the bat, specifically Rosita. And for me, one of the biggest jaw-dropping moments of the entire episode was Daryl leaping up and cold-cocking Negan right in the face, which was not only so badass, but I legitimately, that was one of the only things, apart from Rick having to cut off Carl's hand, that I didn't see coming. And because of that, I was really surprised, and I was like, okay, now I don't know for sure who the second victim is. Could it be Daryl because of what he just did, or is it going to be someone else? And in this case, it's somebody else. I'm going to lose my voice. Guys, unfortunately, it was somebody else. I really hate to regret to tell you this, but R.I.P. Glenn, I love you. You were one of the best characters, but you are gone now, unfortunately. That's right, Negan's literally standing, and I knew it was going to happen because he's standing towards the left of frame. Glenn is, like, right next to him. He's got the bat, like, held out like this, and I'm like, he's going to hit Glenn. He's going to hit Glenn, and he hits Glenn. So Glenn is a goner, but I will say, guys, I love how both Glenn and Negan went out. Glenn and Abraham went out. I love Abraham's last line, suck my nuts. That was a perfect way to send that character off, and that felt very satisfying to me. Even Glenn's last line, even though he sputtered out the line, but he looks right at Maggie, I'll find you. That was perfect to me. Both of those lines, out of any lines they could have given those characters, I feel perfectly capture what those characters were about and what they stood for. And that's why I feel Glenn's last line worked and Abraham's last line worked. And I felt awful for both of them. Especially for Maggie and even Sasha for her connection with Abraham. But Glenn's death, I think, was by far the more brutal. We held on his battered face a lot more than we did Abraham. We really just saw that first swing for Abraham, and then we saw Abraham's guts on the floor and his body connected to it. But Glenn, like, literally, they copied it right from the comics, and I'm so glad that they got it pretty close to the comics. His eyes, like, half hanging out, blood is running all down his face, and they nailed it pretty damn close to the image in the comic book. So I was really happy about that. But I am definitely, I feel, looking back on it now, it's hard to realize that Glenn is gone. Because I loved that character. That said, did I feel emotionally depressed as that happened? No. Did I feel shocked as both Abraham and Glenn got beaten? No, and I'll get into that in a little bit. What I want to get into are a few other things I loved about this episode. Not only were those scenes really graphic and horrifying, which I think really worked, and what I was really looking forward to from the show, the mad props to Nicotero for directing. Incredibly mad props to the costume and makeup department, because the blood and gut, everything looked amazing. The animatronics and everything for Glenn's body, because he cut to that shot, his head's all bashed in, his hand does this, and I was like, oh my god, that was like so horrifying. So that all looked really authentic and really disgusting, and it really worked. So really good job on their part for last night's episode. And the other thing that I haven't praised, I loved the editing. At first, I even tweeted this out. Like 15 minutes in, I tweeted, you know what, screw it. I'll read it to you guys right now what I tweeted out, because I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Just tell me who got killed, all right? I literally tweeted this out at about, I'll tell you what time. I tweeted this out at 9:15 last night exactly. Scott Gimple to team of writers for this episode. Quote, we made them wait 6 months. They can wait 20 more minutes. Hashtag The Walking Dead. That was my tweet, and I got, like, 15 retweets. Because it's so damn true. Like, come on, you're going to make us wait 7 months, you're going to make us wait another 20 minutes. That's what pissed me off in the beginning of the episode. I was like, why are they cutting it like this? I don't get it. Is it honestly just to keep the suspense of who they got killed? Like, they really have to keep building the suspense? 2 people die. We know that. Like, just show it. But then I realized why they cut the episode the way they did, and I liked it a lot more looking back on it. Because I love the decision of the scene they chose to open the episode, which was Rick's opening line, "I'm gonna kill you." Not only did that create an arc for the entire episode of that's Rick's agenda, and how he goes on a journey with Negan to essentially change that, so Negan can change that and change Rick's viewpoint and his whole ideology of him being the leader. But because no, Negan's the leader now, and it works. That journey pays off because Negan effectively forces Rick into coming to terms with the fact that he's not in charge anymore. It's Negan. Negan's the boss now because of the fact that he almost made Rick cut off Carl's hand. So I thought that worked, and I honestly feel that's also a good opening scene for the whole season in general, because is Rick gonna stand by his coming to terms with the fact that Negan's the new boss, or is he gonna go against that and actually try to kill Negan like Maggie wants to by the end of this episode? So I thought that was a really cool opening, and looking back on it, I think it works overall for the show. And then the decision to cut back and forth between Rick on top of the RV or Rick with the walkers, with Negan, and the past, I think works a lot more for me looking back on it now, because I honestly saw how much that affected Rick emotionally, looking back on all of those scenes, and I feel that overall worked more for me than the first time I watched it, where I was like, I don't get the point in this. Why is Rick this emotional? I don't know who's dead yet, but looking back on it, it works. I also love before I talk performances, because I have to talk about that real quick, before I talk about my biggest problem with the whole episode. Real quick, the most tension-riddled moment throughout this entire scene, and this was a tense episode, but because I knew some things going into it, I didn't feel the tension, but I did feel the tension in the scene where Rick has to cut Carl's hand off. Not only did I want the writers to actually have him do it, because I feel that would have been one of the most polarizing moments in television history of all time. The image of a father chopping off his own son's arm at the request of a crazy... I can't call him crazy. Negan is not crazy. A complete, just disgusting, just malicious man who is, the literal definition of evil. I really wanted to see them do it. I'm not upset that they didn't do it, because not only do I feel that Carl's been through enough, he lost an eye, and losing an arm would just make him useless at this point, in my opinion. But I just love that entire moment, because I legitimately did not know if they were going to have him do it. A part of me was like, nah, they're probably not going to do it, but at the same time, I felt that legitimate tension. I was like, holy shit, I didn't see that this was coming. Everybody said that Negan was just going to cut Rick's arm off, and I thought that Rick was going to cut his own arm off. I didn't know how it was going to go, and I felt that really, really worked. The ending also worked for me, just having Negan's group leave Rick's group, and they're just all sitting there in silence, and they're just dealing with everything, and just taking everything in. I thought that also worked. But what stole this episode, holy shit, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Andrew Lincoln were phenomenal in this episode. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, man, he impressed me in his 10 minutes alone in the finale, but I really wanted a lot from him in last night's episode, and boy, did I get it. This guy is not, I love how different he is from the governor, because the governor was a crazy sociopath. The governor was actually legitimately crazy. Negan, I feel, is sane, but he's just, really deeply twisted, and just so disturbing and so vulgar, and I feel that they're two different characters, and I'm so excited to spend a whole season with this character. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is literally killing it in every single line that he delivers. Oh my goodness, every line. I can give you a few examples of just how well his lines are written and how well he's delivering them. The scene where he's driving the RV with Rick and he crashed into the walkers and he's like, oh, one of your friends, huh? Because you see the blood and guts and everything on the windshield. I thought that was great. I couldn't help myself but laugh out loud in a couple moments. With Negan. Just every single moment where he's like, I will shut that shit down. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is so good. There's so many other quotes that I'm just forgetting right now off the top of my head. So many other great Negan moments throughout this whole entire episode. And he's only been on this show for now a full episode. And I just feel that he is, without a doubt, one of the best parts. I know a lot of people are peeved at him for killing off two of the best characters on the show. But you know what? I don't want to see him leave the show anytime soon. I don't want to see him get killed, honestly, by the midpoint of the season or even by the end of next season or the end of the season. I don't want to see it. I want to see him last. Don't, they killed the governor off. They kept him long enough. I wanted the governor even more because I thought that was a great villain. Do not kill Negan off right away. I love this guy. I love this character, even though I hate this character for what he's doing for the group, even though he's got his own justified reasons. So I love him. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is flat out phenomenal. Honestly, this may be a reach, but I think he's awards worthy. I really, really do. I think he was that good. He really blew me away. And Andrew Lincoln was phenomenal in this episode. Andrew, the scene where he has to cut off Carl's hand, the snot that's coming out of his nose, he's literally wailing like a child. I've never seen that from him before, and I was so mind blown at the depth, at the range he went to, and that place he went to for the scene, and I totally bought into it. He was amazing to this entire episode. Even the whole rest of the cast, all their reaction shots and everything. Ross Marquand had some great reaction shots. Maggie, everybody had great reaction shots. Everybody was flat out on the top of their game in this episode, by far. Really, really good stuff. So guys, what I have to get into now, I know I've been praising the hell out of this premiere, and it's good. It's very, very good. It's very entertaining. I have one problem though, and I haven't talked a lot about them. I only summarized their death scenes, but I honestly am really disappointed in how Glenn and Abraham's deaths were carried out. Because in all honesty, guys, it's been now a whole night. I do not feel depressed that Glenn is dead. I do not feel depressed that Abraham is dead. I was watching the show with my dad and my brother, and about 10 minutes after I watched that scene where they both got beaten to death, I looked to my dad and my brother, and I'm like, am I supposed to be sad right now? Because I just loved the hell out of that scene. I loved what Negan brought to that scene, but I don't feel sad. I don't feel sad at all that they're dead. And I'll tell you guys one of the reasons exactly why I did not feel sad that they were dead. Because I knew that both Glenn and Abraham were going to die. If you had a computer over the last 7 months, you knew what was going to happen. With everybody posting theories, the spoiling dead, the creators themselves going in interviews and saying, yeah, we're killing off 2 people. Not 1. No, that's right. We're killing off 2 whole people. That honestly really ticked me off that they revealed that information and that the spoiling dead revealed everything. And I know you guys are going to yell at me, Mike, you shouldn't have read that stuff. Well, if it's there, it's like there, you know? Comments and everything on YouTube, everybody leaving theories. Like Glenn and Abraham were the 2 characters everybody talked about for the last 7 months. It's them, it's one of them, it's both of them, it's most likely one of them, and nobody got off the Glenn and Abraham train, so I knew it was coming. That's part of the reason why I didn't feel emotionally attached to their deaths. And even more depressing than that, I feel that because they went for the cliffhanger they did, and they didn't show at least one of those 2 deaths in the finale, that there was less shock value because I knew what was coming. I knew most likely that it was going to be Glenn and Abraham. The only shred of doubt I had was when Daryl jumped up and cold-cocked Negan, which I thought was amazing, but I was like, oh, it could be Daryl. But at the same time, I saw other posts earlier before the premiere started, people saying that Glenn was the one who jumped up and punched Negan, and then Negan killed Glenn. So I didn't know what to believe, but I just had an inkling it was either Glenn or Abraham, with Daryl being a slight possible contender. And I just I don't know. I that really took a lot of the tension and the awe of that scene out of it for me. I thought they were so cool in how they were executed, but the one thing that was missing was the shock value and the depression that comes with knowing those characters for so many seasons. Glenn especially, who's been from the first season on. So that is honestly one of my biggest problems, and that's because, again, it ties into the finale and how they chose to end it. Now listen to me. Listen to how better this would have worked. And I'm not the only one who feels this way, because I thought of this myself, and then I went online and looked at YouTube comments, and I saw at least 3 other people who agreed with me on this. And I'll say it here. 3 or 4 other people who said the same exact thing I'm going to say to you right now. What if they ended season 6 by Negan bashing in Abraham, cut to Rick, looks horrified, he's crying, what the hell did I just get myself into? Negan finishes bashing up Abe, cut to black, that's it, that's our cliffhanger. It gives us the payoff of that season, Negan's victim is revealed, and it shows that Rick regrets the hell out of what he put his group through. Or maybe he's thinking of revenge, I don't know, they could have ended it however way they want, any reaction of Rick. Maybe he looks toward Negan and he's like, fuck this, I'm gonna kill this guy. Or I don't know, something like that without actually saying that. Then you open on season 7 and you structure it the way you did. You show Rick being taken by Negan. You're like, wait, what the hell's going on? Is the scene not over yet? I thought Abraham was done. And then towards the end of the episode, you build up to the fact that Negan not only killed Abraham, but then you actually show him killing Glenn. And then I totally would have been way more surprised and way more depressed that Glenn ended up dying, because none of us would have seen that coming. None of us would have paid close attention to how they were shooting each episode in season 7 over the summer, and the fact that Glenn and Abraham weren't present on set. None of us would have really paid attention to that. There would have been theories, but I know for a fact I would not have guessed that Glenn would have been killed in the first episode. I honestly think that would have increased the shock value and increased everything about just what made that episode great, and would have made it even better for me. But the fact that they decide to just stuff both of those deaths in a very quick way in this first premiere, and then even on Talking Dead, not even give Stephen Yeun or Abraham a whole show to themselves, just cramming them all in with the rest of the cast in one 90-minute episode just to talk about their experience working on the show, just asking them a few questions, I feel was really disrespectful and just a really bad move. But that's Talking Dead. That's another story. Again, that's just how I felt. I really just didn't have that shock value. I didn't feel depressed for Glenn or Maggie. I felt awful when he said, Maggie, I'll find you, or when Maggie was just like bawling and like couldn't even look at how, you know, grotesque he looked, even though that was her husband. But like, I just didn't feel it. And not only is part of the reason why they made us wait that long, and the fact that I knew who it was already, like none of us were surprised that it was Glenn and Abraham, but also for Glenn especially, Glenn has escaped death so many times on this show. The one moment where I genuinely felt that Glenn was gone for at least the whole day, especially the first time I watched it, was in season 6, episode 3, when Glenn was on the dumpster with Nicholas and he fell off, and we all thought the zombies ate him. We all thought the walkers ate him. I legitimately felt horrible. I felt sick that night, and I felt really, really upset that like we had just lost such an important character. And looking back, I honestly wish that they had killed Glenn in that moment. I really, really do, because I think that would have been a better and more surprising and more gut-wrenching send-off. I know he doesn't get that resolution with Maggie, but the fact that they kept him alive, like, that was the moment they had to just throw us in for the shock factor that Glenn was the victim. And they ruined their chances when they made him alive. They kept him alive after the dumpster incident. They put him in danger again when he went to save Maggie in the mid-season premiere, when all those walkers were surrounding him and he was going to sacrifice his life. They put him in danger again in that scene. So, like, I was just like, well, when is Glenn gonna die? And when he died last in the premiere, I was just like, well, he had that coming to him. He's escaped death so many times on this show. But I'm not surprised, and I'm not shocked, and I'm not upset, and I want to feel those things, but it's because the show just avoided the shock value, or when they had the shock value, the element of surprise, they went against it, and they faked us out, and they didn't actually have Glenn killed during the dumpster. So that's how I felt. Honestly, that's what's keeping me from saying this was a phenomenal episode. I loved the characters of Glenn and Abraham so much, but I just feel that we didn't get the closure that I wanted, and I didn't feel the emotional connection I wanted to feel for those characters when they died in the scene. So that's honestly what bothered me the most. Guys, that's my thoughts on the episode. I really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10 or an A-. That is a very damn good grade. What's keeping me from going all the way is the fact that Glenn and Abraham did not get the proper send-off that they needed, nor did they have the right shock value for their deaths, or did I feel emotionally depressed or emotionally drained like I had wanted to. So that's just a personal thing for me. But guys, I leave it up to you now. What did you think of The Walking Dead Season 7 premiere? What worked about it? Do you disagree with me? Do you completely agree with me? How should they have carried everything out? Should they have ended Season 6 the way I said, killing off Abe and then killing off Glenn at the start of Season 7, completely freaking us all out and shocking all of us? What do you guys feel about that? And how did you feel about how everything went? Did you love Negan in the episode? Because it was great. Guys, I definitely am excited to see where the season goes. I really hope that it keeps going strong, but we shall see. So guys, that's all I have to say. I gotta get going because it's getting later and I'm tired and I'm hungry and I'm not feeling well. So yeah. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.